New Thought Media Network proudly presents New Thought Men's Community Podcast. Mondays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. With your host, Eamon Duffy. Watch live or anytime on YouTube at New Thought Men's Community. Join Eamon Duffy and his guests as they explore what it is to be a spiritual man today. In partnership with New Thought Media Network. New Thought Men's Community, empowering wholeness, centered in spiritual living.
Hello and welcome to the New Thought Men's Podcast, where we explore what it is to be a healthy spiritual man today. I'm Eamon. It's great to have you with us. Welcome back, everyone, to the New Thought Men's Podcast. I am Eamon, and today we have Skip Jennings here. Skip, so great to have you here.
Thank you.
I want to share just a little bit about you for the folks who may not know you. So let me just share a little bit. Reverend Skip Jennings is a spirited leader and co-host of Grits and Glitter podcast, a commentary on spirituality, politics, and pop culture. An author of notable works like The Lotus Kitchen and The Little Book for Big Transformations. He is committed to fostering positive change with roots as the spiritual director for the Center of Spiritual Living in Fort Lauderdale and a background from Michael Beckwith's School of Ministry. His approach is deeply informed by his education and experience as the founder of Body, Mind, Spirit Solutions. He focuses on holistic wellness and personal development, offering expertise in yoga, energy healing, and his teachings are accessible on skipjennings.com and throughout Insight Timer meditation app. In his counseling and coaching, Reverend Skip employs his CARES philosophy to inspire connection, action, self-love, aiming to transform lives and the planet. Oh my, Skip, you are incredible. You have such expertise and wisdom in so many different aspects, and just listening to your sharing with the summit. And I want to dive just right into it. So your topic was reigniting your spirit, the power of spiritual renewal. And I got to say, Skip, you went through so many things. It was incredible. It was like this mini download of all these Science of Mind, New Thought teachings and skills, which is one of our intentions through doing this, is to be able to provide these skill sets, to provide these tools and support for men in being able to access this greater knowledge for themselves and with themselves and within themselves.
Yeah.
And it was just so beautiful because in the beginning, and I'll let you take it from here, but in the beginning was you just started with the spiritual reset, which was just breath, the pause, and contemplate and relax. But it just started with the breath. And I think that's such a powerful piece. But share more about the spiritual renewal.
Well, again, thank you so much for having me. And it's an honor. And part of the practice and part of the teaching that I believe that I want to make it accessible for everyone. I want to say, okay, these are the principles. And sometimes we can get very woo-woo in New Thought. We can get very much into the mind and not into the experiential experience of New Thought. And my work and my calling, my mission is to make it accessible so people can have an experiential experience and feel and have what, my friend Ricky Byers calls it having a new feeling versus a new thought. And how do we embody this newness? And part of the embodiment is we must take a stop, a pause, and a breath so that we can separate from what we've been doing for so long that's not working. And it is the breath that gives us pause to start again. It's impossible to begin a new journey or a different journey when you're still doing the same journey that you've been doing all the time. So we get to stop, take a moment, breathe, and in that breath comes contemplation. And it's a realization that is in the pause that gives us a separation that we can continue on in a new way.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think in so many ways that pause, like in so many different practices, the pause, like before we go down that neural pathway, that same one that has been grooved over and over in our brain, we're like, oh, if we can just take that breath and take that pause, then we're at true choice. I think, which is the foundation of our philosophy in some respects of like being able to say, oh yes, I'm not going to go down that negative mindset or that preset thing that has been with me for a long time, even from youth, even from growing up, just these unconscious patterns that we're just running because the rut is so deep because it's happened over and over and over again. But you talked about that a little bit, and I hope I'm saying this right, is the happiness doctor,
Ilias Gagoris.
Gagoris, thank you for saying that.
It took me a minute too to practice.
We'll talk a little bit about our neurodiversity later, but but it's good to have someone help. Oftentimes. But he was saying, or you were saying about what his practice was, is this childhood branding that we have. Like it's almost like it almost made me cringe a little bit. It made me think of a calf, getting branded with a brand, and in some ways it is similar, right?
It is.
And when we have these things, and you mentioned like the three main things that kids kind of get attached to on some level, one or maybe multiple, but being fat, being ugly, or being stupid.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it just breaks my heart because I can so relate. That was a part of my upbringing, and so challenging with my neurodiversity around numbers and letters.
Yeah.
And I like to think of myself as just creative with numbers and letters.
That's all it is, really. We're just being creative. We were finding a new way to put it together. Being creative.
But tell us a little bit more about the experience of branding, neurodiversity, and maybe how we can step out of that or do some healing with that.
Absolutely. And first and foremost, I want to say that, my teachers and my parents did the very best they could. And back in the day, there really wasn't a word for what we were experiencing. Neurodiversity is something very new in our language.
Yeah.
And even experiencing, dyslexia or any other type of thing that is different out of the norm. And I believe we all have this way of processing information differently. Some show up even more so. But I believe that they did the very best they could. Part of this branding that we receive comes from the knowledge of not knowing what's happening. I believe my mother's school teacher, if she knew that I had a learning indifference or I process information differently, she wouldn't have used the language that she used, but she did. And it branded me, and it put me in a thinking that there was something wrong with me. It wasn't
Yeah.
until I got to Agape International Spiritual Center over 20 years ago where I started to hear there's nothing wrong with you. In fact,
Mm.
you are the divine emanation of spirit. Therefore, you are love, joy, divine intelligence. And when I heard divine intelligence, I went, no one's ever told me I was intelligent.
Mm.
And so after hearing it, I began to believe it. I began to tell myself, I am divine intelligence. I am intelligence. So the next thing I did was I wrote a book. Then I wrote another book. And then I wrote another book because I wanted to overcome this branding of stupid, can't read, won't ever amount to anything.
Yeah.
So how do you get over it once you start believing and once you start, these thoughts are shifting your life, there must be an action plan behind it. That's why in CARES, my philosophy is connection, action, remember, empowerment, self-love. So connection is connecting with what you want. And what I wanted was to not be branded as stupid, but to be branded or to take on the label of intelligent. So I connected with what I wanted. I had to get into action through affirmation, prayer, meditation, and then writing a book, and then writing a next book, and writing a next book. And I have another book that's coming out very soon in the fall. So I had to get into some type of action to overcome this deep-rooted belief that was in my subconscious that was given to me at a very, very early age. So it requires the growth work to shift and transform your life.
Oh my gosh, Skip. So many parallels between us. My mom was a teacher as well.
Oh, really?
And she did her best. And I didn't find out that I was dyslexic until that I had dyslexia until I was 30.
Right.
So I made it through on my intuition through school, on my energetic understanding and reading of the room, my empathy and that those kinds of connections is what got me through school. And yeah, it's just so interesting. And several years ago when I was in ministerial school, I also was going through all of that stuff of like, did you imagine like finding out your dyslexia or that you have this learning thing and then going back to school? I'm like, am I crazy? What am I doing? And it forced me to heal. It forced me to look at all of that stuff and really ask myself, like, how do I learn? How do I take in information? And how do I understand it? Like you were talking about before we started this, just the phonetic spelling, like you spell things in a phonetic way. And I can so relate to that because, me too. Me as well.
Yeah. And if we go back to your ministerial calling, it was your yes that overpowered the ego. Yeah. And I believe the ego is divine. There's a reason we have the ego. It's here to protect, to attack, and defend. That's the job of the ego. And the ego will tell you, are you crazy? You're going back to ministerial school. Do you know how much reading you got to do? Do you know how many papers you got to write? And you are in this space of what? But your yes, you expressing spirit, God within you, more powerful than being led by the ego, you are led by spirit. And if any of us men out there or women, whoever is watching this podcast right now, if there is something deep within you that is coming forth as your yes, let that be the language that you use to move forward. Don't let the ego stop you, because a great day for your soul is a terrible day for the ego. Michael Beckwith always says that. And if I say it, I said it about 10 times now, so it's legally mine.
Nice. I've officially adopted it.
Yeah, it's mine now. So.
Well, and during that process, I actually wrote a book too with a friend of mine, and it's about men's work. It's about this very thing that we're doing, and so it was just this sweetest thing of breaking that glass ceiling of I could never write a book. Yeah. And it was so incredible to have that book in my hands and go, oh my God, even though I had help, and there's a part of me that tries to lessen my accomplishment by saying that, but it was mine. It was my stories. It was my experience. And my friend who's a writer just was incredible, but it's mine.
Mhm.
And it's my stories, and it's my experiences, and it's my wisdom from 30 years of doing men's work and doing Science of Mind. And it just broke that whole, it broke that branding that was in my mind of, I don't know if I can do that. And what a perfect place, to do it too, in ministerial school, where we have to go through these things over and over and over again to show up in service to others, to be able to do the writing and do the things that maybe aren't our skill sets, or I speak for myself, that maybe aren't my skill sets, but I get to have support in those things. And I'm so grateful for it. Yes, I love that. Yes, you expressing spirit. So let's dive into a little bit of this, because it sort of fits in with what we've been talking about, and the shadow work. Now in men's work, we do a lot of different practices around shadow. And I know that even saying shadow work, people are like, ooh, oh no, there's this like a gorilla in the closet or something like that. There's this thing that we're scared of in and really that isn't it. Like, it's not that thing. It's the day-to-day things that we have that hold us back. It's the things that plays off of, no, I'm not gonna get to yes, or the denial of other things, of the different pieces and parts that we are, because if we can see it,
Yes.
it's a part of us, right?
Absolutely.
On some level. So like, just everything that's going on in the world, the political chaos, the environmental chaos, all of these things, that's all within us, and it's reflecting something back to us. And so when we do the shadow work, we really get to work, because we can't work it anywhere else, right? We have to work it inside. We have to do the healing within ourselves. And that's a foundational piece of not only, new thought healing practices, but men's work practices and shadow work practices. So go a little deeper into shadow work in your view.
So the most important part about shadow work is bringing it from the shadow into the light. And most of us have these deep-rooted things that have been rooted into our consciousness, and we don't even know that we're interacting with it or reacting from it. Like, for instance, I always use the example of being triggered on the highway, that we don't want to be triggered or angry when someone cuts us off, but we get cut off and we get triggered. So deep-rooted unconscious activity happens that we get triggered and angry, and it could be coming from a deep-rooted place of maybe feeling cut off when you're a child, or feeling neglected when you're a child. But shadow work brings it deep memories into light so that we can deal with it. And I say this, my friend Deborah Johnson says that you gotta feel it. You got to acknowledge it. You got to say what it is. So then you can deal with it, and then you can heal through it. The most important thing in shadow work, I believe, is being willing. Because shadow work, when you're saying, I'm going to uncover some deep, dark shadow stuff that I want to clear up, it's challenging work. And I believe that it should be done bit by bit, little step by step, and give yourself so much kindness and loving and compassion that you can heal through the revelation of it. See, we have shadow work that will affect our relationships, our finances, our work, the way we show up, even in churches. So once we uncover this deep-rooted, hidden, the root of what is ailing in us, or the dis-ease of us, then we're able to really nurture it. The other part about shadow work is connecting with your inner child. See, we all have this
Yeah.
inner child that is just so, it wants to have a tantrum. I'm not
Yeah.
loved. You don't hear me. It's
Mm,
all part of the ego. And I call my little ego, my little child, little Skip. And
mm,
little Skip can go, oh, you don't understand, and you don't know this, and this is not right. And I hate when you do this. Little Skip is acting out because little
mm.
Skip just want to be loved.
Yeah.
And that's where God, universe, love will take little Skip and saying, I hear you. You're going to be okay because you're okay right now. And I know you just need a little love. And you're not alone. I got you. And so it's understanding, oh, little Skip is acting out. Come on, big Skip, which is God. Come on, God, do your thing. It's a process. Little Skip shows up sometimes 20 times in one day with me.
Mm, mm.
But I don't stay in little Skip because I have the tools that we can shift. We can have a shift.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such powerful work, that inner child work.
Yeah.
And especially putting it with shadow work, because that inner child within us is on some level the recipient of all of that stuff that pushes
Sure is.
push down, right? On some level, it's supposed to be the golden child, like in archetypal type of work. It's supposed to be this fantastic, this beautiful, this liberator, this like inspiration, creativity, fun.
Yeah.
You know, if you aren't having fun, you probably need to check in with your inner child.
Right. Right.
But all of these things that we expend so much, and this is how I would maybe talk about shadow work. It's all that energy that we expend pushing down all of that stuff. Like, oh, you know, my challenges around writing, because of how, you know, my neurological brain works, because of my neurodiversity, all of those things that we're like holding down, instead of accepting about ourselves and loving about ourselves and just compassionately going, you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's really, you're okay. And I love when you said that. It's like, yes, you're okay. It's okay. You know, and just to allow that divine part of ourselves to wrap that child and just, you know, rock them or hold them or give them the thing that they need, the acknowledgement, and just a little bit of attention goes a long way. And it's just like, it is magical in some ways to feel and experience that shift, and to just know that, yeah, that Eddie within me is like, you know, yeah, hey, I want some attention, and I'm struggling today.
You say something that's really, really super important to realize, that in shadow work, it's very easy to say that what lives in the shadow is fear, doubt, and worry. What also lives in the shadow is God and love.
Yeah.
But when we operate in shadow, the fear, doubt, and worry overshadows the ability for God to flow. God is in the shadows as well. And in that time, and I teach this with my clients, I teach this with my students, that what we want to hide away, we must bring to light so God can come through. And even the most horrific things that happen to us, it is in God. It is in spirit. It is there for us to grow and to grow through it and to heal through it. I remember reading something, I think it was Emerson, that said that everything that we have come in a dis-ease has come to heal us. Everything that we experience has come to heal us. So we can have to see our breakups. We have to see our, you know, our form of lack and limitation, also known into our bank account. It is there for us to know the fullness of self-love, of abundance. It is there for us to heal in a relationship with ourselves. So everything that we are experiencing is here to heal us. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the I am not enoughness that I got because I wasn't a scholarly performer like my sisters were, which was wonderful that they were that. But the message that I got over and over goes, I'm not enough.
Right.
And so I translated that. That's the shadow piece in me.
That's the shadow piece.
of like, I'm not enough. I don't have enough abundance. I don't have enough love. I don't have enough. All it translated, like you talk about the branding, and it just translated on so many levels. And to be able to now, as an adult, go through those levels and say, you know what, I am enough. Like, even in doing the things sometimes that, like, even in doing this summit, which has been a huge endeavor, it's like a 3-year endeavor, and joyfully so, but also challenging in so many ways. Or school, going back to school, like those huge challenges. And that was the invitation to really love myself more and practice that self-love and practice just knowing that I am enough. And even if I didn't, quote, do it right, even if I didn't do the paper correctly, or, I didn't do this or that or the other thing the way I'd maybe wanted to, or maybe the way other people expected me to, that I am still enough. I am still loved. I am still worthy of happiness and love, connection, abundance, joy, all of that beautiful, those good things that the child really wants and the adult really wants. Like, we all really want that.
Right. And I think it's very important to recognize, and I love that you teach from transparency, because I'm a minister that does that. I think ministers need to teach from transparency. We all go through that stages of not being enough. And once we can identify that's what we're experiencing, then we have the tools, the spiritual tools, to recognize that we have always been enough. We have always been enough. And it's not about the papers you produce, not about the outcome of any situation. It's about you are, therefore you are enough, period.
Yeah.
And that could be a long life journey. Yeah. Which is powerful to go, I love it. I don't ever want to go say, my work's done. Ta-da, here I am. Yeah. It's like, really? As soon as I say that, I'm always faced with another trigger. And, we say that in yoga. Once you master a pose, there's something else within the pose for you to master. It might be how you see yourself in the pose. It might be how you feel in the pose on that day. It might be your spiritual connection in the pose. You can never, ever fully master a pose because there's always something else for you to learn. Same thing with spirituality. There's always something else for you to learn about yourself in spirituality. Always, period.
Absolutely. And that is the journey that we're on. That's the beautiful, joyful journey that we're on. I mean, and we can label it as hard, or I don't want to do that, or I don't want to grow. Change sucks, and some days it does, some days it's hard to break out of those habituated experiences that keep us in our comfort zone, right? Keep us in that kind of comfortably numb, as it were, just like, it's okay. And people can stay there for, I've been there for years, in different ways, in different processes, in different parts of myself. So there is no guilt. There is no shame in it. It's just about being able to say, you know what, I'm ready. We had kind of talked about, like, when the shifts happen, I forget what we were talking about, but it was reigniting that passion, and that translates to the rest of your life. Like just recording all of these, sitting here with all these amazing people,
new perspective,
people that I'm like, oh my God, this person's in front of me, holy cow. And it's like that energy, that experience has just come through and into my house. And there have been places where I have just piles of paper and unorganized things, and it's like shifting and shifting and shifting.
You're blessed, man. I saw your lineup. I saw the lineup of New Thought ministers. I'm like, how did I drop into this lineup? I was
because you are that yourself, my friend.
I am just so grateful. But and two, here's the thing that I love. I listen to on YouTube. I will go to different New Thought Sunday morning services, from Agape to North Hollywood Church of Religious Science, Dr. Sidney. I will listen to Deborah Johnson. I will listen to, because I learned from them, and there's so much rich knowledge that's coming through them. And it's like, oh, this is really powerful. We get to hear a new perspective, and that's where we get to push the restart. Some of us are in this rote experience, and fellows, if you're looking at this in the summer, you're going, I keep doing the same thing over and over again. I'm in the same relationships over and over again. You got to get a new perspective. You get to have a deeper deep dive in what you've been studying for years and years and years. See, we can only, I always say you can only stay clean on yesterday's or today's shower. You can't stay clean on yesterday's shower. You can only stay clean on today's shower. So every single day is a day to re-edify your mind, to reignite in your body temple. That's why we do the oath of wellness. I will meet my body right where it is today. I will meet my body right where it is today, because every day is a new day.
Yeah. And that's the practice of it. I love that you went through that, and the MMP. Yeah. Meditate, move, and pray
every day. Meditate, move, and pray every day. That's it.
Oh, and that is like, I love it, because I am very kinesthetic. Yeah. So I love movement, and I love dancing. I love, walking. I love having those, that movement in my life. And I've been, like, I was a contractor for 30 plus years. I mean, it was my whole career when I was younger, and running my own business. And it was the most amazing thing, because I was out there doing the work every day. I was moving my body, and I loved it. Even though, some days at the end of the day, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sore, but it's that aliveness and being embodied. That's what we've got these amazing experiences of physical beingness and mental beingness and emotional beingness. And the only way we get that is by being in a body, having that the spirit incarnate in these bodies and expressing through these bodies.
That was a powerful realization. How, I'm saying 20 years ago, and I'm in the personal training business 20 years ago, and then I'm just starting my journey into New Thought, and I'm going, hold up here. This is the body temple. So everything that we're doing is a prayer. It is a form of meditation if we choose to. We are here to edify our body so that we may support our spirit. So these New Thought kind of thinking around what the body was here for, it became a spiritual practice for me to get up in the morning to go for a run or to go for a walk. And I've been doing a lot of walking in nature recently, going out pretty much every other morning. Nice. And I'll do a little video on my first 90 minutes of the walk. What am I thinking about this morning? I carry people on the walk, and I really have enjoyed doing that. And people are just like, oh, I love your little walks and your little talks. But honoring each and every step is a prayer. It's a connection. It's, I'm walking. This body temple is walking in nature, and I'm one with the trees. I'm one with the mosquito, believe it or not. And I don't like mosquitoes, but
it's a tough one.
Or one with the iguanas, and I know they're God's creatures, but I still have some issues around iguanas here in Florida right now. But it's so I get to connect even with things that I have challenges with, but it's all one. And these nature walks have really expanded. So I'm walking in nature, connecting with God as I'm moving. So that becomes meditation. That's a movement. And I'm saying a prayer of gratitude. So sometimes it can be all in one. And, thank you, God, I'm walking. Thank you, God, I'm breathing. Thank you, Spirit.
Yeah. I think I want to throw this Aurobindo quote in there. We are not here to escape the world, but we are here to realize its spiritual nature. Ooh. I just love that one. Oh, it's just like, yes.
Ooh. Ooh, that's challenging right now. As I spoke, we're in this hyper experience of separation, also known as, and I say experience because we can never be separate from each other. But
Yeah.
we're in a hyper awareness experience of separation, known as the election.
Yeah.
So when we want to get really deep, even with people that don't agree with us, that don't want us to exist, is there a place within us that we can give room to say, I am one with that person? We don't have to be in alignment with what they're doing. But if we truly believe in New Thought, there's only one power, one presence, one mind. We say that all the time. And then we'll go, oh, I don't like what that person's doing, what that politician's doing. That is wrong. This is this, and this is this. The truth is, our New Thought teachings go beyond this experience, what we're experiencing on the external. And in Hindu teaching, it says, do not be deceived by your lying eyes. Your lying eyes will say that you're different from me. I'm different from you because you're black. I'm white. You're gay, straight. You're a Republican. I'm a Democrat. I'm an independent. That's lying eyes. The truth is that we are only spirit. We are only spirit, and we're having a experience of separation. But the truth is, what we are is divine oneness. That takes a lot. That takes a lot of energy and a lot of spiritual work to get to that place. Am I always there all the time? No. But am I willing to see? Am I willing? Absolutely.
Well, it circles back around to shadow work. It's those things that we project out, like the tyrant within me, or the greediness within me, or the inner child that's in such pain that they're lashing out within me, and on some small level, when we get to do that inner work, that we get to love and bless, we can find that place of compassion. We can see that wholeness more easy, or for me anyhow, I can see that wholeness more easy. I can find love. I can find generosity. I can find patience. I can move my car over and go, yes, man, if you need to go, and you can find those places of that wholeness and connectedness, even in this place of extreme separation, or seemingly separation, as you said.
Right.
And I think that's key. Wow. Awesome stuff. I would like to, there's so much. I'm going to have you back, Skip, because this is an awesome conversation.
Honored. I'd be honored. Yes.
But I would love to talk just a little bit, because we haven't talked very much about this, is energy. And you said you're a Reiki master. I'm a Reiki master. So we're both kind of tapped into this energetic. Right. So many similarities. I love
getting this is great. This is awesome.
Yeah, right. and I think that's a part of, that was a part of my strategy in school. That was being able to tap into the energy of the classroom, or be empathetic in different situations, in group situations. It's actually an amazing skill that gets to support people where they're at and what they're doing, and being able to tap into that energy and use that energy. So this quote from Nikola Tesla always comes up when I even think about it. If you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Because on some level, it's there. That's where it is. Like those atoms, those 7 octillion atoms that comprise this being, are simply energy. It's those protons, neutrons, and that electron, that electromagnetic field. And on some level, it's as simple as that. It's as simple as going, raise my vibration, do the healing. I'm ready for the healing. I'm open to the healing. And it's more, I've found, my own openness to that energy coming in is the true barrier. And when I allow myself to let that go, let that resistance go, that energy can just come in and flood over me. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on the energy and the experience of energy in this philosophy, and how we can tap into that and use that in a deeper way, in a more powerful way.
So one of the things that I'm actually studying more and more about energy and energy healing, that everything's energy, everything's a vibration, and there is not a dualistic experience of energy. It is the totality of energy. So we have energy that we want to experience, we have energy we don't want to experience, but it's still in the totality of the experience of energy. Now we have the power to transmute, transfigurate, and move that energy to where we want to be. I believe there's lower vibrational energy, there's higher vibrational energy. There are things that will definitely affect the way we feel, the way we move. There are chemicals we put in our body that will shift the way we're actually feeling that moment, what we eat. And the thing too, we must remember that energy can never be created, it can only be shifted. So when we understand that life is not being done to us, life is being done as us and through us, that we have the power to shift the energy and the vibration. So then we get to tap into things that don't bring us to a lower vibration, or if it does, then we have the power to shift up. And I talk about this with my clients when we come to energy healing. We come into, because everything is energy, so I'm always working within the energetic body, because the manifestation of the energetic body will be in the physical body. So if you're dealing with anything like a back injury or neck energy, it really pertains to what energy in your energetic body that you're allowing to move through you. And that could be too, it could be maybe you need a chiropractor to help you to bring it back in alignment. Maybe your body's out of alignment because your energetic energy is out of alignment. Part of this work is really studying and starting with the idea that if everything is energy, because it is, everything's a vibration, frequency, then we are sending frequencies out. And if we believe in the law of manifestation, or we believe in the law of attraction or law of radiance, that we become a magnet for what we are sending out. So we must take responsibility, because we're sending out same frequencies over and over again. And guess what we're getting? The same results.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that might, for me, another, just to add a bit to that practice is that we first talked about, is that taking that pause, taking that breath, and just for me, putting my feet on the floor and just recognizing, seeing the energy of the cosmos then flowing through me, that, because we're the same creative energy, right? Absolutely. On some level. That's the power. That's the living energy, the living force in all things. Whether it's a planet, whether it's the cosmos, whether it's a galaxy, whether it's a human, whether it's a drop of water, it's all that same thing. And so just allowing that energy to flood through and take that breath and cleanse, almost just like a shower, literally just like an energetic shower, just clear it on out.
I work with the chakra systems and clearing chakras, and every chakra, which means wheel of energy, represents a different aspect of our life, from feeling grounded to our emotions, to our vitality energy, to compassion and self-love, to communication, through intuition and knowing our divine self. All the chakra systems are about energy, wheel of energy. So part of this work is really tapping into what is the dis-ease, and being willing to work with our tools so that we can shift the dis-ease. And you're talking about the neurons in our body. There is research that says our neurons and everything that we're made of, it's the same particles as what's in stars. So there's a belief that we come from stars and we're here just making our way back to the stars.
Yes.
I love that.
Agreed.
I subscribe to that. I love that if we're just stars here on this earth, just having experience, and we're going to make our way back to the stars, and then we might make another trip to the stars, and we're here to learn what we need to learn, and we're going to make our way back to the stars. So that works for me.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Oh, Skip, this has been such an amazing conversation, and I would love to, like, I've been asking everyone this question as we go away, and I'm sorry if I forgot to prompt you on this.
That's okay.
So
I love it.
We'll just take it off the hip here.
Okay.
But the final question that I'd love to kind of close on would be, what does healthy masculinity look like in the 21st century?
Ooh,
What is your wisdom to
wow.
contribute to that? Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so as an openly gay man, who is in the spiritual community, who's a spiritual leader, I
Yeah.
truly believe our divine masculinity needs to be healed from our inner femininity. We need to tap
Mm,
into the divine feminine. And we know anything about the divine because the masculine is the yang energy that's do, 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 do. We talk about that in yoga. There's two parts of yoga. There's a yin and a yang. And the yang is that right to energy. Got to go, go, go. The yin is in the darkness where we become, we release, we let go. There's a part of the yoga where we sit down on the floor. And then it's also part of the feminine energy of becoming, of birthing something new. So we look at the divine feminine, it's about nurturing, mothering, and it's about birthing something new. So this age, I believe the patriarchal way of leadership has had its time. The patriarchal leadership is a triangle, one person at the top and many people floating down underneath. We've been practicing in that since the beginning of time. Now,
Yeah.
in this age, what's coming forth is we're birthing a feminine, matriarchal way of leadership, of connection. So I believe it's a circle. Everyone's a circle. You're a circle. I'm a circle. All the guys on this, all the women on this, we're all circles. And the circles begin to intertwine to create the totality of circles, which is the universe, which is God. So we're all leaders. We're all connecting. We're all here to heal ourselves as we heal others. This is the new way of that's coming forth, which actually, it is actually new thought, ageless, ancient wisdom. Before we start to get into this gender, and this is a whole nother podcast, what is the gender of new thought? Oh, it's a whole nother podcast. I can come and do a whole new talk on that too. But there's this place where we have to let go of what we were taught by our mothers and our fathers of what it is to be a man. We have to release that. We have to release all this idea of heteronormity, of what it is that a man does this, a woman does this, or a partner does this. No, we have to release all that. That is a part of the deep shadow work. Where am I holding on to these things that my mama said was right? Where am I holding on to these things that I learned from my father of how to be and how not to be? So I believe this is where we are learning to release what we are attached to and embrace a new thinking, a new thought. Hey, how about we have a new thought, new thought?
Yeah.
How about we have a new thought and new thought? Which is actually what Ricky Byers talked. My friend Ricky Byers said to me, we got to stop having a new thought and we got to have a new feeling. And that's the new way that we must approach this coexistence or this oneness, this mentality that we're all equality, we're all equal. So we have to bring in we have to release these old way of thinking and move into the new feeling of this thing we call life.
Beautiful, Skip. I just love that. And for me, I think seeing it from a place of, instead of I am this, or masculinity, as a man, I'm this, or as a woman, you're that, that we're moving into this idea and this understanding of wholeness.
Yes.
Like I have that masculine and feminine within me.
Yeah.
Everyone does. I think those are really, we're trying to just put traits, like society has put traits as masculine or feminine. They're not really masculine or feminine. I think this is the gift of, at least how I see it, and of the non-binary community, and what they're offering us is to let go of those, so many of those different, like, this is masculine, this is feminine, this is all of these associations with what, because of my biological gender, this is how I have to be. And society reinforces that, and parents reinforces, oh, he's going to be a boy, let's get him blue stuff, and or it's a girl, let's get him pink stuff, and to drop those concepts and ideas of associating them, and that anyone can be assertive, or anybody can be a thinker, anybody can be a feeler, and in fact, all of us are all of that. And that's what I love for me about this wholeness theory, or this wholeness understanding, is that we are all that.
Oh, and I always say this, and I'll end with this, like, God was the first non-binary being. The first, so we get to understand that we are divine emanations of God, which is non-binary. That's the truth.
Yeah. Oh, Skip, you are incredible. This has been a wonderful conversation. I just love it. So your website is Skip Jennings, and also the little book for big transformations. Can you find that on your website?
And in a couple of months, I want you to go to the website and sign up for my newsletter, because in a couple of months we have a new book that's coming out, and beyond. And it's nice. So I give some real practical new thought. We turn 50, our life shifts and expands. So should our practices. So that's coming out. Also, you can reach out to me for spiritual coaching. I'm a transformational coach. I'm a licensed agape minister, a New Thought affiliate minister. So if you want some pastoral counseling, that is available as well. And and I teach yoga 101 on YouTube, actually on Zoom, or reach out, just connect with me. Connect.
Yeah. SkipJennings.com. Skip, thank you.
You're so welcome.
It's been a wonderful time together.
Can I say one other thing too?
One more? Yes, please.
Go to Insight Timer. I am one of the Insight Timer meditating on the Insight Timer app. So I have over 75 guided meditations. I have 3 courses there. You can do it anytime on demand. And and I do a live podcast through Insight Timer on Saturdays. And on Sundays, I do a 10 a.m. yoga class, Eastern Standard Time, online through your app. So they can connect.
Nice. They can connect. So everything Skip. You've experienced Skip and his energy. So if that's resonating with you, definitely go and connect with him. Want to thank you all. Skip, thank you for being here. Want to thank every one of you for being here today. And this extra long podcast, but so worth it. So worth it. And we'll do it again. Absolutely. So love and blessings to all of you. More to come. We'll see you next time.
Peace and blessings.
I hope you enjoyed this interview from the New Thought Men's podcast. For instant access to all podcast interviews, talks from our summit, men's groups, and so much more, join us at newthoughtmens.community. Thanks so much for being with us today. There's more to come, so stay tuned in.